There we are.
Artie, how are you?
We are here. I'm doing okay.
And I'm doing okay too. And I'll tell you today's show is sponsored by Drexel Tobacco because it really is good. I got it today and it's good. And don't forget, also, Noble Night, 10% off. Artie's not in it. It's No Enemies Here 10 together.
I'm offended.
Sorry, Artie.
Highly offended. Mortified, in fact.
Okay. And you know what? This is a special edition.
Uh-oh.
And the special edition is...
Ruh-roh.
Artie, this is your life.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
This is going to be boring.
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to find out a little bit about you. Who are you? What makes you you? I don't know what else to tag on with you, but why are you so smart? Why are you so handsome? Stuff like that. And that's
Dan has an interesting definition of handsome that involves old and fat.
So you know what? Strelinkov is here. Hello, all. Strelinkov, Stephen Roberts, Sups, and Charles Latora. Charles, good afternoon. No, it's good evening here.
Hey,
it's
folks.
huge time. So
it's 6:30 here. It's not
okay.
It's not
so
late.
You know what's happening here, Artie?
No,
Okay.
I do not.
Well, yeah, because this is a special edition. And Artie, let's begin with why are you called Aardwolf'S Lair? What is this, and what is it all about, and when did it start?
So it is not the Death Dealer art, but Matt is not that far off base. Years ago, I had a friend of mine who is a talented artist who has done some comics Kickstarters, some successful comics Kickstarters. There's an independent comic called The Not So Golden Age. Joe Freistuhler did the art, and I told him to be inspired by Frank Frazetta's Death Dealer, and he, of course, being also a dork, knew exactly what I was talking about. So if you look at the Death Dealer, it's not quite the same, but it's definitely inspired by. And well, I have milked the pants.
There, yeah.
What's that?
I could see some Frazetta there. Yeah.
Yeah, I have milked the pants out of this piece of art. I mean, the current logo is like a hex logo. I did that, but the actual outline, because I can't draw with anything. I could do like technical drawings and stuff like that because I took 4 years of drafting in high school, but I can't like sketch stuff. I'm a total amateur. But the name comes from I originally started blogging in around 2007. And I was blogging on a platform that is so long gone and obscure even at the time that I don't even remember what the place was called. But it was pretty obvious whatever that site was, it was going away. So I went to WordPress and started Aardwolf'S Lair. And that was in 2007. And there was, eventually a YouTube channel occurred. I think somebody pointed out that I have just past the 12th anniversary of the first video on the YouTube channel.
12
and
years,
over 700 videos, which was the more shocking number to me. So,
and okay,
the blog's still around, but I post to it a few times a year as opposed to a couple times a week for the YouTube channel.
Okay, and did this guy ever get any cash back from you? Because
not a cent. He was just I think trying to explore the idea of becoming a freelance artist at the time. So I hit him at exactly and he's a friend of mine, right? So I hit him at the buddy time, and exactly the right time before he became a high-priced professional cartographer and artist.
Well, I mean, is his name written anywhere on it? Is this copy written anywhere?
I imagine, I don't know. It was we could call it work for hire, I suppose, in which case there's no written contract, but we had an oral agreement. So it's, it's pretty much as mine as anything at this point.
Yeah, well, that is
the name Aardwolf comes from what I was playing at the time, which was an MMORPG called Vanguard Saga of Heroes, which is itself long gone. And that was just my character's name and it was just something I'm like, I got to come up with a character's name. Aardwolf. Yeah, sure. Why not? Doesn't sound too bad. And it stuck, and it's catchy enough that I stuck with it. So,
well, the same thing happened with the group Japan. They were playing in Japan and they didn't have a name. So how do we introduce you? Japan. So there you go. You know what I'm saying?
I don't even know who that is.
We can talk later because you'll really enjoy that. Now,
I might.
Artie, what do you do? What do you do for a living, if I don't mind asking?
At the moment, I'm a technical writer. I write documentation for ERP processes. But I've spent the last 10 years or so in IT. And this, while not technically IT, is IT adjacent.
And you know what? That's all boring to me.
It's boring as hell. So,
I guess there's good coin in it.
If anybody watching hears farting on camera, that's definitely Dan, by the way.
You know, I was talking to another IT guy, Carl Kretter from the War Game Boot Camp.
Mm-hmm.
And he's an IT guy. And I told him, I just got a job, Carl, and it pays this much. And he says, Christ, I wouldn't even get out of bed for that. And like, whoa. So IT guys make a lot of cash.
It depends. They can. If you're an ERP guy, you can definitely make a lot of cash.
So, Artie, you being younger than me, please have a bit of respect. Now, where were you born?
Right here in Ohio, in Fairview Park, Ohio, which is a suburb on the west side of Cleveland. And
what's happening in Ohio in terms of war games? Lots of?
So back in the day, it was hard to say, right? Because we didn't have visibility. It was one of the challenges of being a gamer was you had to go find people who were also gamers, right? Now there's pretty robust gaming community here in Columbus, where I live now. Is obviously it's a huge college town, right? It's the state capital, but it's more importantly, it's an overgrown college town. So although I don't game with any of those people, youngsters, there's tons of kids, and the kids play board games and role-playing games and stuff like that. There's a huge board gaming club, which of course is still trying to dig itself out of the pandemic hole. But that club started as a wargame club, and gradually the wargamers kind of drifted away. A couple of them passed away, unfortunately, or moved away or whatever. But there's still just as much wargaming happening now. It's just happening at people's houses instead of up at the club, right? So I mean, I have no cause to complain about the wargaming specifically scene here in Columbus, and I know that. The RPG scene is just as hopping here, if not more so than the wargaming scene. In fact, definitely more so than the wargaming scene. And the board gaming scene is bananas.
It's rocking there, eh?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, the people that run the boardroom at Origins are the people. Well, it's not the same people technically, but it's the same people that run the local club and supply games to the local club. So that same Origins boardroom library of 500 whatever it is games is available every week here at Gabs. So.
Who is this guy, Bayonet Branch?
He's not wrong.
But
this is the brand new and improved Aardwolf'S Lair filming area, and I'm still working on things like camera angles, but the lighting is already dramatically and fantastically better than it was. So
now, are you a married man?
Yes.
Because you're a handsome man, homosexuality aside.
Dan, making it weird since 2025.
So, and why did you stick around in Ohio?
I mean, I've been to other places. I'm certainly not necessarily that attached to Ohio, but friends and family are here. Didn't meet my wife in Ohio, met her in Pennsylvania, actually, although it turns out we're living an hour apart in Ohio at the time. Well,
she's Amish?
No.
She's...
So I met her at an event of the Society for Creative Anachronism. We've talked about this before. It's a medieval recreation group.
Yes, where you beat the crap out of each other.
That is, in fact, one of the things that happens.
And so she likes to dress up. You like to dress up, basically.
Yeah, we haven't done it in a while, but we do. It's fun, actually. You even just go to the Ren fairs, which the SCA events are not particularly like Ren fairs. But you could just dress up at a Ren fair. That's fine. I mean, other guests might think you are staff, but that's fine.
Ren fair.
Renaissance fair, where they dress up in the medieval clothing and eat the turkey legs, that kind of thing.
No, but it's funny that all you Americans like to make
Abbreviations?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. We
yeah,
abbreviate everything.
everything. Like USA. You know what I'm saying? It's really
Matt
the
Taylor knows the event I'm talking about. I did meet my wife at Penzig for the curious.
Okay, and just for the people watching over here, I'm basically I'm interviewing Artie. I don't know how long this is going to last before we go off
Which could happen.
Which probably will happen very soon. So if anybody has any questions concerning Aardwolf, please ask. Now, Gary, look at that, eh?
That's
Artie,
fine. I don't care.
What's your name? What's your full real name?
It's Gary Mengel. No relation.
No relation to the doctor?
No, that's Mengele.
How do you spell it?
I had an amusing. It's not spelled the same, and my name is actually derived from Dutch rather than German. So the story is, and I do not vouch for the accuracy of this story. But sometime around 1780, a fella named Jan Peter Mangel from the Netherlands gets off the boat here in America and says, I have come to America. This is wonderful. Please tell me where all the Dutch people live. And they sent him to live with the Pennsylvania Dutch. And he got there and said, fuck, these people are not Dutch. And the name became Germanicized or Pennsylvania Dutchified to MENGLE as opposed to MANGEL. So that's hypothetical, but the actual ancestry is correct. So
you being Dutch, that's why your wife fell in love with you, because she's Amish.
She's not Amish.
Well, why did she fall in love with you?
She's Mexican, actually.
She's Mexican.
Mm-hmm.
Does she cook?
I don't want to get in trouble. She makes amazing cheesecake and pecan pie.
What about mole? What about mole?
She is not a mole person. Her mother is the whitest person imaginable. I mean, think about how white I am. She is like 1,000% whiter than me.
Yeah,
and she subscribes to the time hallowed system of British cooking, where whatever it is, you boil it. Got some beef, boil it. Got some rice, boil it. Ribs, boil them. So my wife has grew up handicapped in that sense.
I understand. I am just asking questions. I don't know you more than Aardwolf'S Lair. You know what I'm saying? Okay, here's my next question. Artie, what's your shoe size?
Depends on, I'm having trouble 10.5, but I'm having trouble finding half sizes in shoes nowadays. I don't know why that is. A lot of shoes are only available in full sizes, which means I got to wear an 11, or I whine constantly about how much my feet hurt.
You being handsome the way you are and being a personality, when you go to cons, do people swarm all over you and ask you for autographs?
That has literally never occurred. I have had people recognize me, though. Usually for Origins, we won't be doing that this year. Usually I have a pair of face-length mutton chops for Origins, and I get recognized because of the mutton chops. I'm very easy to pick out because that's a very unfashionable facial hairstyle these days.
Yeah, you said you didn't want to grow a beard because you look like a terrorist.
Yeah, well, I can grow pretty mean mutton chops, but whole beard it just doesn't come in right around here. So it's real patchy in there, and I look like a terrorist, a teenage terrorist.
And do the Dutch
who is trying to grow a beard?
And do the Dutch grow mutton chops?
How the hell should I know?
You're Dutch. You're Dutch.
We didn't even know this until like literally the last 5 years. We always assumed it was German because it came from the Pennsylvania Dutch.
So you are connected to the doctor then?
No. Well, I mean, no. I mean, the German side of the family's been over here since the early 1800s. So if there's any conceivable relation, it's super, super, super distant. I mean, you go back far enough, and everybody's related to everybody, right? I had a hilarious conversation one time with Frank Chadwick about this exact topic, by the way. And Frank knew more about this topic than I did at the time, which is not particularly surprising because he's Frank Chadwick, right?
And are you attracted to twins?
We're getting weird again.
I'm just a simple question.
So I went to Christmas dinner with my with the sideburns one time, and my mom goes bananas. Oh my God, you got to shave! You look like President Buchanan. Oh my God. She's thinking of President Buchanan didn't even have sideburns. She's thinking of Burnside, but
oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, yeah. Well,
for whom the sideburns are actually named after Ambrose Burnside.
So. Well, dyslexia. Well, what can you say? You know, what can I tell you? Now, does Warty Robe, the man who plays World War II media, and I forget, but Warty Robe is the Hugh Hefner of war games.
So we have heard.
He is. He wears a robe. I mean, how much?
I don't even own a robe.
Yeah, I know. I gotta get a robe.
Well, that's technically not true. I've got what I call my Jesus robe that my wife won't let me wear to events. So I sometimes call it the Amazing Technicolor Dream Coat because it's one of those Middle Eastern sort of coat. I can't even explain it. I don't know what it is. That's the closest thing I have to a robe.
So I must add, your handsomeness is more handsome because you actually stopped ingesting tobacco. Is that right?
I am, as of like this month or so, I am a year away from no nicotine. So I haven't had nicotine in over a year at this point. And I haven't had tobacco. I haven't had tobacco since Thanksgiving Day 2019.
And how did you consume your tobacco, Aardwulf'S Lair?
I was smoking a couple packs a week, but I was dipping a can or two a day.
Can or two a day. Well, that's not what you told me prior.
That's a lot, by the way.
And so you were one of those guys that would spit on the ground all the time?
Oh, I'd have plastic bottles.
Wow.
I was normally not spitting on the ground. I don't spend enough time out of doors. Yeah, Mike Anthony, I'm not a fan of that. I'm for legalization, but I'm pretty sure that I would continue to not partake in it. On the other hand, I'm rapidly becoming a fan of legal CBD products. Let me put it that way.
And how's that going, your CBD thingy?
Pretty well. I think I found the correct dose, which is pretty low dose actually, and it's completely de-stressed me. I'm way less stressed out. When I was like putting this area together, I mean, I didn't even it just didn't even occur to me. You drop something and it goes all over the place. I had like a tray of paper clips that got moved and ended up tripping paper clips everywhere. I got to pick individual paper clips up out of the carpet. My wife says you didn't go bananas during that entire time. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. You're right. I didn't rage out at any point. So
okay, so Artie, your educational system. So you did graduate high school, is that right?
Yes.
You did you go to college?
Yes, twice.
You graduated?
Once.
Did you go? Is college considered university in the United States of America?
Yes.
So
I guess there are technical colleges that somebody might consider like non. I mean, so the difference between a college and a university here in the U.S., I think it's different in the U.K. and possibly in Canada as well, is that a university is like a collection of colleges. So Ohio State University, or I'm sorry, the Ohio State University, is a collection of different colleges, like the College of Law and the College of Arts and Sciences, and this and that, and this and that. And that comes from the whole British educational tradition. So usually a college is a smaller thing than a university, but it's the same like level of education.
I think this speaks for itself.
I don't know anything about this.
Okay. So your school system is really messed up. We have high school. After high school, you go to college. After college, you go to a university where there are different campuses of which you call different colleges. Like being ADD myself, you just messed me up and I would fail just because of that.
I don't know that it works particularly differently in Canada, although some of the terminology might be the same.
No. We are not like you.
Grumbling Grognard, the stuff I'm taking does not contain THC.
No
and
THC.
I would prefer it not to.
No, yeah, I know THC.
That would make me eat all the chips and then take a nap.
Sometimes it can make your heart pump and go paranoid, and you believe in God.
Yeah, I've never really had that happen, but and it's been a while though. So
okay, so Artie, you know what? You're a respected man in the war game community. People listen to you and they take your word and they go with it. I mean, how proud can you be? How your mama? Did you tell your mama that?
she has no idea what this is. She is a profoundly anti-intellectual person and has no idea what anything is. I have very, very little in common with interest-wise with my blood relations.
So you're an intellect. You consider yourself an intellect?
I consider myself a person that likes to know things and learn things.
Yeah. No, it's just a simple question because I consider myself an intellect when I can speak properly. But regardless, I mean, I can. You see. Okay. So, okay, war games, Artie. What the hell possessed you, and when?
To be well, so my first war game was around 1980, and I know what game it was. It was Paratroop in S&T, and I had seen in some kind of science magazine that I was reading as a kid, which should tell you what kind of kid I was. Science News. It was the magazine actually, which at least until relatively recently was still around.
So you weren't a war historian wannabe at that time. You were just a science freak.
Well, I've always liked science too, but to do science, at anything other than the total amateur level, you need math, and I never was blessed with good math teachers. So,
well, and okay, so your wargaming thingy.
So I mean, I was as a kid, the grammar school library. I was definitely reading a lot of history books, right? World War II stuff was mostly what they had. They didn't have very much, but they had some stuff. I mean, I remember reading specifically one I remember reading was a book about the Claire Chennault and the Flying Tigers.
The what?
Claire Chennault, General Chennault and the Flying Tigers, the U.S. volunteer pilots that went
in China.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So Matt Taylor came by for Traveler stuff, which I'd like to do more of, but we gotta fit the time in is the challenge now.
And yeah, go on. We're gonna hit this question later.
Honestly, I think one of the things that appealed to me was the colorfulness of it early on when I was just a 9-year-old kid, right? With all the different color counters and stuff like that. But it wasn't too much longer that I started getting into things like D&D and stuff like that. And I still bought war games, and we still did Squad Leader. It was a thing that we did somewhat regularly around here. Well, back there at the time, I guess. I didn't play a lot of war games. We played a lot more RPGs back in the day. We played RPGs, including obviously D&D, but we also played Champions and Traveler and a little bit of Call of Cthulhu and RuneQuest and some real stinkers like Powers and Perils. I actually ran that a couple times. I'll do a video on Powers and Perils at some point. It was by Avalon Hill. It was one of their less successful attempts to break into the role-playing market. But I got away from that when I went to college the first time and was interested in other stuff, mostly drinking and girls. And gaming became less of a priority. But then, I dropped out and went, didn't take me very long to get back into gaming. And I fell into playing Rollmaster with some guys in the Cleveland area, but they were also war gamers, right? We played a lot of ASL and World in Flames and stuff like that with those guys. So years and years pass, and some of the people rotate in and out. But eventually it occurs to me when I decided to go back to school, it's like, hey, all of my hobbies and interests in reading and all this stuff all kind of revolve around history. I mean, the RPG stuff I'm doing is historical RPGs, which was true at the time. Why don't I just get a history degree? So I ended up getting a history degree. So and around that time is when, around 2014-ish, something like that, is about 2013 maybe, is about when I started becoming interested in wargaming again, which was, I mean, I had never was not interested in, I didn't drop out of war games because I was not interested. I dropped out of war games because it seemed like it was a dying hobby, because none of the people that I was talking to were in it anymore. And None of the, I was going to Origins, and none of those publishers were there anymore.
Now, is this pre Avalon Hill or after the demise of Avalon Hill?
This is probably after the demise of Avalon Hill, a couple years after that. I'm thinking this is mid-aughts, something like that. So I'm like, well, this is hopeless. So over the course of the next few years, I ended up selling off a lot of my war games. Not all of them. I kept some. There's some that I still have. I wonder if there's anything on the shelf here that I still have from back in the day. I don't think so. But there are a couple that I never got rid of. But then I started, becoming interested in it again, like I said, right around 2013, 2014, something like that. And so I thought about, hey, I'm going to get back into wargaming, and that's thinking of in the context of the wargaming that I know is actually happening, which means ASL. So I look into that. I'm like, okay, super cool. This Oktoberfest is still happening. There's still a vibrant ASL community online. Go to Multiman's website to buy the ASL stuff. It's all out of print, so you're hosed. So I started looking around at other stuff, and I stumbled across YouTube, and there's guys like STUKAJOE doing amazing war game content.
So is this pre Aardwolf's Lair?
Aardwolf's Lair was around even at that time. Aardwolf's Lair dates from 2007. This is 5 or 6 years after that. But I didn't. If you go back to like the early content, it's all like video game stuff, right?
Oh,
I was not like a big video game content creator by any means, but to this day, the #1 video on the channel is an EverQuest 2 video, that like the top views, and eventually that will not be the #1 anymore, because it's not nobody's playing EQ2 anymore, except for John Longshore. He's still playing it. But excuse me, we're having a bad day up here. But I'm not talking. I'm talking about MMORPGs more than computer war games. Which I'll do a video at some point about computer war games. They've almost always disappointed me. Let me put it that way.
So Matt Taylor here says he came across Aardwolf through his Traveler videos, and as a matter of fact, so did I. Now, where are these videos now, Artie?
Well, they're still on this.
No. What's happening? I mean, what's happening?
Oh, well, I got a job. that's what's happening. A job that's a bit more demanding than the previous job. So I'm just not able. I don't have quite as much free time to make content as I did at the time.
So how did you tell the people, sorry, people, but I will not continue this?
Oh, I have no intention of stopping. It's just a matter of, finding the time to make specific videos. As soon as I get a new Traveler product, I'll do a Traveler video. So
Traveler is an RPG, is that right?
It is, yeah. It's from originally released in 1977 by Game Designers Workshop, who, of course, was then known to be a wargaming publisher. And they continued publishing war games till the very end, which was, forget the date of that, 80, that doesn't make sense, 97, 96, 97, 98, something like that.
Okay, it's funny. You remember stuff. You remind me of me when I was young with albums, when we used to have 33 RPMs there, records, and I used to know who the designer was, who the engineer was, this and that. But for some reason, I think all the drugs I did got it away. But how do you maintain all that, man? Artie, seriously.
So, I mean, part of it's just, being an anal retentive person. But I'll tell you what a big clue, what a big key piece of the pie there was actually going to Origins year after year and sitting in on the Origins auction back in the day when there was an Origins auction, and the people who were running the Origins auction were gamers and knew the games and could tell you stories about the games, and you knew, here's this product that so at one point I bought a game called, I think it was called Operation Hitler. This was a module for an obscure time travel RPG. The adventure is you go back in time and try to kill Hitler. Okay. So apparently the cover was offensive enough that the thing got yanked. I bought this thing in the shit bin for 50 cents at a local game store. So I take it down to Origins, the next Origins, and stick it in the auction. I'm waiting. It didn't come up. Maybe I missed it. It comes up in like the collector's auction that they do at the end. It went for like $150.
And you got $150.
Oh yeah. Well, I hung out in the Origins auction for they would do like miniatures and stuff like that I didn't hang around for. But like the whole war game time and RPG time, I was there for it. I mean, even if I wasn't like actively buying stuff, I was just sitting there absorbing knowledge, It's too bad you can't do that anymore. There is still an auction at Gen Con, from what I understand.
Well, there was an auction at Consim World. We were just talking about it before.
Well, I think they do an auction as well. Yeah, I think Alan Emmerich runs that, actually.
The one at Consim?
Yeah. Well, there's the flea market too, but I think they actually do an auction. I could be wrong. I've never been to Consim World, so.
So Alan Emmerich is still around, like.
Yeah, he's one of the moving parts behind the whole Frank Chadwick's ETO project.
No, I know that, but I mean, since he sold Victory Point Games,
yeah,
I haven't heard anything from him.
Well, that's because you're not you're not in the Frank Chadwick's ETO Facebook group, I guess, because Alan posts regular updates to that.
Yeah, no, I got a job. You know what I mean? I got to make money, Artie. You know what I'm saying?
I understand.
Okay, so Artie, War Games, you're not a collector, is that right? You're a player.
I mean, I tell myself that. Sometimes I'm fooling myself. There are certain things I pick up just for interest's sake. I've occasionally said I wouldn't mind having a copy of Campaign for North Africa, which I absolutely would. I mean, if local guys decided, hey, let's be crazy and let's try to play Campaign for North Africa, I'd be up for that. But I really am just more curious than anything else, but I'm certainly not paying $300 for a copy.
Okay, so aren't there better games now?
Oh, Jesus, yes.
So why, just for nostalgia's sakes, you'd want that?
Well, I mean, it's not nostalgia. I'd never owned that thing. It's actually a very attractive game for its day. It's just curiosity more than anything else, right? I mean, it is a legendary game. It was a legendary game before it blew up on mass media too. So
okay, because it was on that show that I never watched with the nice redheaded girl there. What's her face? The Big Bang Theory. Yeah, The Big Bang. Did they ever have sex with that title? I have no idea. I never watched that show. I couldn't even sit through the Campaign for North Africa episode, actually. I mean, I thought it was a porno, The Big Bang Theory. You know what I'm saying? No, but The Big Bang Theory is like an actual thing. But I mean, the show's not. I don't know what to extent the show it references that. I mean, the main characters are all like physics dorks. I know that. So, well, Artie, since you're a grognard, I really am not. In all honesty, it's for me, it's the romanticism of the games. That's what I like, and ask me to play a game, I can't. But anyways, in your young years, because you are younger than I am, please respect your elders. What has changed in the con world when you go to cons? What is it that has changed? So my first convention would have been a local Cleveland convention. I don't even remember the name of it, but I do remember that TSR had a booth there. I mean, that tells you how long ago this was, that there was a company called TSR. This would have been in the mid to late 80s, I want to say. And the next con I went to was probably Gen Con. That would have been around 1992. How many people were there in 92? Oh, God, I have no idea. I mean, it was a huge convention at the time. They were overflowing the facility. It was not even Mecca. It was the facility before Mecca at the time. But then they outgrew Mecca as well. That was one of the convention centers down there. And was there still a big war game? It might have been Mecca, actually. Mecca might have been the old one, I think. Was there still a big war game presence at that time? Oh, absolutely there was, yeah. There was absolutely a lot of wargaming still happening there. I mean, there was a lot of there was like a noticeable amount of wargaming still happening at Origins up until about 7 or 8 years ago. So what happened? Well, it might have been a little longer than that. Maybe 10. We'll say even 10 years. So what happened at Origins? A lot of the publishers stopped coming because they weren't making money. A couple of key individuals passed away. That were organized, like Winston Hamilton, the guy that ran games research and design. They had a whole Europa room at Origins for many years. Yeah, and once Winston passed away, the whole thing was on death's door. So he was like the guiding principle behind the Europa effort for a long time. Let me put it that way. So I mean, in the convention. Honestly, the thing that springs most to mind is that the gender balance is very different now than it was when I started
going to conventions in the early 90s, right?
Can you elaborate, please? Elaborate.
I mean, there were almost zero females at that first Gen Con. Not zero, but they're not that many, and the number has gone up since then, and continues to go up now, which is great. I think that's great. So,
of course.
Also, there's like a lot of more almost all the big conventions have become more media driven. Origins less so than Gen Con, but Gen Con is like now this major cultural event that has like big stars and stuff like that at it. That's less true of Origins, but Origins has done a little bit of that too. Gen Con, previous Gen Cons that I went to had a significant video gaming presence. That's never been the case at Origins as long as I've been going. So that's interesting that video games have kind of gone off and done their own thing, right? So you go to like PAX East, PAX West, whatever the West one's called. Those are like video game conventions that happen to have some additional like tabletop presence as well. But that presence have more or less gone away from, say, Origins. Gen Con, I don't know, because I haven't been there in a long time.
So video games, Artie, since you're a big gamer, are you video gaming?
Yeah. I mean, I'm still playing. What have I played in the last? Well, I can actually tell you because
are you a PC gamer or a console gamer?
Oh, I'm a PC gamer. So what have I played in the last couple of months? I've played mostly the Elder Scrolls Online.
Man, that's old. Okay, go on.
That's almost 10 years old. By Guild Wars 2, I've played a little bit of that. I've played a very little bit of Final Fantasy 14. I have played some of Pavlov's House, which is exactly what you think it is. It's the David Thompson Pavlov's House. That's a video game.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, great.
Oh, yeah, you can get that on Steam. It's great, too.
What's it good for?
Like $20, something like that. Empyrean Galactic Survival and Conan Exiles are two survival games that I've played quite a bit of.
And can you mention any new games within the last 5 years?
I'm planning to play New World, which comes out at the end of the month.
What about stuff like Fallout?
I have actually never put a significant amount of time into any of the Fallout games. I have Fallout New Vegas, and I've played it for a total of maybe 3 hours. It just
it's an RPG. It's an RPG.
Yeah. It just didn't grab me.
Oh, okay.
So,
what about games like BioShock?
I did play BioShock. Actually, it was a very pretty game at the time. I didn't finish it though. I'm not that into shoot. It's a shooter, really. I'm not that into shooters. I did play quite a bit of Team Fortress 2 for a while. That was kind of got me over my whatever I wanted to.
Yeah, but that's a shooter.
Oh, it is a shooter, but it's so light that it's like you don't feel like so it's not a pressure shooter. You know what I mean? Like you play CS:GO and you're like under pressure to perform, and it's totally unfun. TF2 you can just go in and just have fun.
And what character?
And I haven't touched it in years. I mostly played the heavy.
Okay. The big guy with the
minigun, yes.
Yeah. And what about look? Since you mentioned Counter-Strike, but you abbreviated it again. Please don't do that because I have to think. And then when I'm thinking while you're talking, I ain't listening. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
Okay, so Counter-Strike. So you must have played Half-Life.
I played one of the Half-Lives. I think I played Half-Life 2. I never played the first one. I played Half-Life 2 though. Okay.
So I'm going to go on to the next topic.
And the Portal's great.
Oh, fantastic. Did you play Portal 2?
I did. I have it. I've never played it. It's like I got to like set the time aside to play it.
Well, I don't want
the Mass Effect games. I played through the first 2 of those, enjoyed them very much. The first couple of Dragon Age games, I've enjoyed
Mass Effect 3 is awesome, man.
Mass Effect 3 might be awesome, but I've never managed to get more than about 2 hours into it for some reason.
And who did you have sex with in Mass Effect?
Liara.
Seriously,
the blue chick. Everybody picks Liara.
I didn't pick Liara. I picked the chick that with the mask.
Oh, well, that's Mass Effect 2.
Oh, sorry. That's right. Mass Effect 2 I meant was wicked. Mass Effect 3...
Yeah, I went with Liara. Liara's not in the second game unless you get one of the DLCs.
Right.
So, which
So,
was a weird decision, if you ask me.
So you're
I think I did pick what's her name, the chick with the mask. I'm blanking on the character's name. I have a VR headset. It's depends on the game. If it's a game where I've played Elite Dangerous in VR and it's amazing. Many other types of games nauseate me.
I was going to say,
Dangerous doesn't do that because you're sitting in a cockpit, right? And you're in space, so there's not like references floating around. But there's like if you buy an Oculus Rift, there's like this little tech demo called like Sky Car or something like that, and it's just like this little sky plane that you fly around in this like cyberpunk city. I could take it for a total of about 3 minutes before I was reaching for the trash can.
I can't do it.
Absolutely nauseating.
Okay, designers, Artie, designers. Who is, because if I ask you who's your favorite designer, that's insane, because I don't think anybody should have a favorite. I think we should have a mixed bunch of whatever, right? And you pick your designer of the day. So,
my opinion on these kinds of questions changes all the time.
Exactly. So, one of your preferred designers is
Richard Berg, a divisive designer, and certainly a designer that made plenty of missteps. But I own a ton of Berg games, and I like quite a few of them.
And it's funny because Berg comes out as a very dry character to me, but he's not.
Well, he was, I mean, I never met the guy, even though I know he was at Origins when I was at Origins. I never met Richard Berg, but you know, he was a very colorful individual. Let's say that
colorful, like what? Like RuPaul?
I don't know if he was quite that colorful. If you've ever seen pictures of Richard Berg, that's a frightening thought. But I mean, he rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. So a lot of people read him as abrasive. Other people just dealt with that. And Rich Berg had tragedy in his own life that I think affected him very deeply. That's a number of people have talked that knew him, you know.
I don't know that.
Where I didn't.
Can you elaborate on that? I don't know that.
His son passed away from a drug overdose in his early 20s.
Shit.
So his only child, I believe, and that kind of wrecked him.
That'll break someone.
Oh yeah, and I think it to some extent it did, and I think the only thing that was left for him that felt fulfilling was being a game designer, which he continued designing games till almost the very end. So,
was he hitting the sauce a lot, the guy?
I haven't the vaguest idea.
Okay, poor guy. I feel bad for him, really. Sincerely.
Oh yeah, I mean, you got to feel bad about anybody that's in that situation.
Okay, who have you met as a designer that you really got off on and you had great conversations?
I had a great conversation with Frank Chadwick. That was in person at an Origins right around 94, 93, something like that. That sounds about right. No, that can't be it. It had to have been later in the 90s.
And did you guys talk about anything else but war games?
Traveler.
No way.
Yeah. Well, he was the publisher. I mean, he was working for GDW.
So
it was, and I think that particular year, Traveler: The New Era had just won the Origins Award. So it was a very well received game by critics and not as well received by fans of the property.
Was it very profitable Traveler for him?
Well, for GDW, yeah, it was considered a very successful RPG for a long time, and the fact that it's still around now, after close to it's almost 50 years old. The fact that it's still around, it's still being published. There's new products coming out every couple of months from Mongoose Publishing. So, and they seem to be very happy with it, and I personally am very happy with their support for it. So,
and I'm wondering if he still gets a cut from that, or someone ripped him off, or whatever. Because
Frank, no, Mark. So the way GDW broke up was the people who, like the original designers of the properties, ended up with the rights to those properties. So Frank got stuff like Command Decision and other things that Frank designed. Mark Miller got Traveler. So I doubt I could. Hey, what do I know? But as far as I know, Mark is the sole owner of Traveler at this point.
Okay,
and I have met Mark as well, by the way.
And it's funny, Artie. Something just came to mind right now. You're quite reserved when you do your podcasts. I'm going to call them podcasts, okay?
That's not wrong. There are very much podcasts that happen to have my ugly mug on video.
Okay, please stop interrupting me.
Oh, by all means, go ahead.
I don't even know what I was talking about.
I don't know either.
Podcasts.
Right.
You are quite reserved, and you're quite, I'm going to say, diplomatic for lack of a better word. But in person, you were a little bit more gregariously throwing up more information. Now, is there a problem with content creators to be diplomatic, Artie?
Is it? I'm not 100% sure what you're asking.
What I don't even know, but what I'm trying to say is that why do we shut up? Why don't we call it as it is when it's time to call it as it is?
Sometimes we do, but you have to feel as a content creator. Sometimes people get questions about how come so and so never does a negative video.
Right.
They do reviews and they never do a negative review.
Right.
Why is that? Because they're shills. That's why. I mean, that's the kind of language that gets thrown around, and that's not it at all. It's that people as content creators, we do the stuff that we are interested in and passionate about doing. It's very hard to get super passionate about a game you just don't like. Now, maybe it's like a flamboyantly terrible game, the Plan 9 from Outer Space of Wargaming, which I would argue is probably Campaign for North Africa. But that you can like rant about, right? But generally speaking, I mean, you want to do content on stuff you like. I mean, I want to do content on stuff that I like. Okay. I don't want to, be. I just don't particularly enjoy being a negative person.
No, I understand that.
So, and I like to try to see things from other people's point of view too, and have sort of a holistic understanding of what's going on in the hobby, and to the extent that I do. The history of the hobby, and again to the extent that I do, and stuff like that, so I can say, well, yeah, so and so, they had this significant problem with this particular game, and I can think, well, so and so other person had this very similar issues with this other thing years ago. So that's exactly it. I mean, I don't want to make videos about what's a game I hate. I mean, I don't make videos about combat.
No, and I get that. But when you spend $150 on a game from a company that shall remain unnamed, you see, I'm being diplomatic here, which is really, it's counterproductive. But anyways, that's
maybe. So, and I mean, there's
$150 on a game.
I hope I'm not being disingenuous with people.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, why can't we be more forward?
Well, don't think I never get pissed off, but I'm trying to be less pissed off.
Hey, yeah, but spending $150 US, which is about $7,000 Canadian, excluding shipping, and you get flabby counter sheets, and you're telling me because it's on the landscape and not on the whatever scape.
Yeah, they're still doing that with
it's
some games. I don't know why.
$150.
Well, then go to NWS and buy it from them. It's less than MSRP. So, I mean, if another thing that I have often said, and this is a super unpopular opinion, by the way, is that hobby games, and I'm not talking about just war games, we're talking about hobby games, discounts with RPGs, board games to some extent too, are generally for the value contained in them. This is assuming that you play them, right? If you just buy it to stick on the shelf, that's a kind of a different story. But assuming you actually play them, hobby games are incredibly cheap for the entertainment value that they offer in terms 100%. Of hours.
Yes.
So let's say that I have more money than sense, and I go and play, and I go buy a copy of Campaign for North Africa. And it's cost me $600. I'm gonna bust out the calculator for this. Let's say that it cost me $600, and then let's take at face value the thing that it says in the book that says it'll probably take you 500 hours to play this game. Yeah. And I play the game.
Yeah.
Well, it's like $1 an hour.
I know. This cheapest entertainment you can get.
No, none of these people are making tons of money.
No,
the people who are there are certain companies that are doing very well. Those are companies, generally speaking, that have outside capital, either the owner's capital, or they found some capital elsewhere or whatever. So generally speaking, nobody's making tons of money doing it.
Right.
Publishers aren't, designers certainly aren't, developers
Absolutely.
are making, by and large, no developer is making anything. A lot of things happen on a volunteer basis. So I am pretty comfortable paying prices for games that, you know, and you know, am I maybe being forgiving when saying, I'll tell you, the Enemy Action Ardennes, which is one of the games that people complain about the counter thickness on, those counters are 3 times thicker than the Diffraction Entertainment counters. And those don't bother me particularly because I'm going to play the thing with tweezers anyway.
Oh, you're a tweezer guy, eh?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, my new desk drawer has I got a whole thing of tweezers here.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean...
So I'm not afraid to bust out the tweezers.
Okay, so you're a bleeding heart. That's what it comes out to be. Okay.
Well, I don't think so, but I mean, I be realistic about this too. Lots of games have problems. I'm probably more forgiving than some people, but in general, right? I mean, I stuck with Goss when it was very difficult to even try to play Goss because the rule book was crappy. So,
and why'd you do that?
Because I liked what the system was trying to do, and I think I think I won out in the end on that, to be honest.
I guess, because now it's better for some reason, right?
Well, they released a new rule book that's much clearer and makes it a lot easier to learn. But the game system plays really well and does some really interesting things.
Do any of these companies ever ask you for advice on rule books?
That has literally never occurred.
I don't understand that. Why, they're not listening? They're not listening?
Many of these of the war, I'm going to try to make. I'm going to make what is a blanket statement and just understand that there are exceptions to this. Many war game publishers are run by old people who do not understand the value of social media at all, and who are only participating in social media to the extent that they are, and in some cases that extent is zero, because they were dragged kicking and screaming into doing it. Including some, a lot of companies are like that.
Well, I mean, look, I just interviewed Ben Hull, who's a super nice guy.
Yes, I watched that.
Super nice guy, and we're going to have a second interview because he's such a super nice guy, and I want to know more. And he clarified stuff on Fields of Fire for me, basically saying, Dan, wake up. It's an easy game. You're on the battlefield. Crap is going to happen, and deal with it. That's the thing. Deal with the crap that's going to happen. So, I don't know where I'm going with this, but that's all I had to say.
Yeah. So, I mean, I have Fields of Fire. I have the first one. I really have not tried to play it, but it's
you're not a solo guy. You told me you
got a really thick rule book. I've got a bunch of. I never said that. That's Stigler.
Okay, that's somebody else. Yeah, whatever. Yeah,
I have quite a few solo games actually. There's a whole bunch of them on the shelf right behind me here. Target for Today, Target for Tonight, or Solitaire Games. Field Commander Napoleon, which is
fantastic. Look at you. Okay. It's not you I was talking about.
You can't see it, but Peloponnesian War on the shelf underneath.
So,
but I mean, I don't have to play solitaire games, so then that's the difference.
Are you a gaming couple? Does your wife play games?
Not war games, but yeah, she plays. I can play things like the Pathfinder card game with her, or something like that. The Search for Planet X, which I did an unboxing video of, which is like a logic puzzle game.
Can we go as far as would you play this?
What is
Deep Sea Adventure?
Deep Sea. Is that the Yellow Submarine?
No, but it's there you go.
Okay, I am not familiar with it. I am in principle not opposed to it.
Okay, so
I'm way more finicky about what games I'll play than she is.
Would you play God, the train game? What's it called? Alan Moon's game.
Ticket to Ride.
Ticket to Ride. Would you play that?
Yeah, I've never played Ticket to Ride. I wouldn't mind playing it.
And did you know that Alan Moon is a heavy war gamer?
Any relation to Keith Moon?
You see, you threw me off.
Damn it. No, I didn't know that.
Well, I mean, he wrote in The General, man.
Okay.
Okay, what?
He wrote The General. I mean, that says he's got old school wargaming cred.
There you go. Just like, what's that Canadian guy? I swear to God, he looks like a Mountie. He has a show, a very successful show.
Craig Ferguson?
No, on YouTube there. He does board games. And he does,
Edward from...
no, man, fuck.
So there's Edward from Heavy Cardboard.
He ain't Canadian.
I'm talking about the guy from Let's Watch It Play.
Let's Play World. Play it again. What's his name?
Play it again. I don't know. I've met that guy actually.
Well, that guy's first
I know
name
who you're
is
talking
Ambush.
about. Okay.
Huh?
He's done some war games too. So is Heavy Cardboard.
Yeah, and it's funny, and we don't. What's up with Edward?
From Heavy Cardboard?
Yeah.
I don't know what's up with him. I've met him, actually. I met him at Origins one year. He had no idea who I was.
Is he busy all the time?
Oh, yeah. It's a working show for him.
Okay.
Same with the Players Aid guys. They were at Origins too, and they were working the whole time. I just want to have fun. So.
Okay.
And take pictures for the most part.
Did you ever get drunk with Mark Herman?
No. I've never met Mark in person. I've been on shows with Mark a couple of times.
What a sweet.
And again, I mean, I know Mark was at Origins and at least multiple occasions when I was at Origins, and it never occurred. And for all I know, I mean, it's not like I never went to the GMT booth in those years. For all I know, maybe I did meet Mark Herman or Richard Berg. I just don't remember it. I didn't recognize either of them at the time. What's
wrong with going to WBC? Why don't you go there?
There's nothing wrong with going to WBC. It's not very far from here, actually. It's just
why haven't you been?
So the last time I was going to go, it was canceled, and I was unemployed. Then the time before that, I was going to spin out on Saturday, and I had my car had no air conditioning. Air conditioning still doesn't work, by the way, and the windows stopped rolling down. So I was not going to drive 3 hours to Pennsylvania in July with a car that the windows don't roll down and the air conditioning doesn't work. That wasn't happening. So I went to get the car fixed instead of going to WBC.
You know, if I was your jazz drummer teacher, I wouldn't take these. And
also, I'm not. WBC is a tournament-oriented event, which is not to say that everything that happens there is a tournament. That's not the case.
Thank you.
But you know, it's a tournament-oriented event, and I'm not much of a tournament guy.
I understand. But there's a lot of huge war games happening there, man.
Absolutely. That one year they were playing Case Blue. Another year they were playing, the same guys were playing the Der Weltkrieg. So.
Did you ever get drunk with John Butterfield?
No.
What's the matter with you?
I've never met John Butterfield.
Super nice guy.
He seems like a nice guy. I've seen him interview.
Mild-mannered, super nice guy. Don't get on his wrong side. He'll call you out.
I've never gotten drunk. It's been a long time since I've gotten drunk, to be honest. But did I get drunk? The only game designer I ever got drunk with was Dave Newton, who you probably haven't heard of.
No.
He was Gary Gygax's co-designer on Dangerous Journeys. That's the game designer I got drunk with.
Oh, okay then. Okay, what about Joe Chacon?
I don't think I've met Joe. No, I'm pretty sure I have not. Although I think he was at Winter Offensive the time I went to Winter Offensive.
Okay, well, you're missing something. But anyways.
Oh, yeah, these are all, interesting folks. Don't get me wrong.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when you're ignorant and a little bit clownish like me, you get to meet all these people, Artie. But you see, you're smart, intellectual, so nobody wants to approach you.
Yeah, Stephen Reynolds is getting the right idea here. I hope not, but I mean, I do definitely want to go to WBC at some point. Just there wasn't a WBC this year either. No. There was like unofficial under the table WBC, but
yeah. Artie, our time is up here. I'm really happy you did this. No holds barred and no bars hold. I never could get that. What is it? No bars hold? No holds barred?
No holds barred.
Oh, yeah. I can never get that. I don't even know what that means. And do you play cards?
Like Pinochle and Bridge and stuff? Not really. It's been a long time since I've played like euchre or even poker, really.
Okay, I'm just asking, because the people want to know who you are.
So as a gamer, the kind of games I want to play are war games a certain narrow category of Euros and super fussy collectible card games, or living card games, or whatever.
Like what, Exploding Cat?
Like Vampire: The Eternal Struggle, which just came out with a new edition or is about to.
What about Netrunner? You ever play Netrunner?
I haven't played Netrunner. I would like to try Netrunner, actually. The card game I'm thinking of is the Pathfinder card game, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And RPGs. And I have traditional taste in RPGs too. Not so much D&D, but I like old school RPG stuff.
And when you do play RPGs, do you like to play the game master, or you like to play one of the characters?
I prefer to be the game master.
Seriously?
Yep.
Why? Because you're controlling?
It's more engaging. I'm constantly engaged. I don't have to take my turn.
No, I think you're controlling.
No, I don't think so. I mean, there is a certain puppet master type of thing that does go on in an RPG, and some people can get off on that.
Let me ask.
And yes, that can get creepy sometimes. But no, I don't think that's the case in my case. I just really like that it's a more interactive experience because everybody's interacting with me.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Where the players, they will interact with each other, but only one at a time, right?
So here's my last question. Are you regular every morning?
Absolutely not. Very constipated. Very constipated. And
controlling.
Yeah,
you're controlling.
I need to take some fiber pills. I took fiber pills as soon as I got home.
You see, 20 years of psychology, man. You can't mess with me, Artie.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Yep.
Anyways, Artie, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate you basically taking me under your wing and teaching me stuff that I forget every single day. But don't worry about that. That's my problem.
Mike Anthony, stay tuned. I hope that'll happen eventually.
Harn, That's Columbia Games.
It is Columbia Games, yeah. I haven't done anything actively with Columbia Games lately, but I've got an iron in the fire of something I was really working on pretty hard for a while.
So you've let people down on Traveler and you've let people down on Harn.
Well, hopefully not permanently.
I hope not.
So I'd rather be employed.
I read that comment. Yeah. Okay. People, thank you very much. I know this was an off-the-cuff thing. It was a surprise to Aardwolf. Seriously, because look at the answers he gave. It was just mumbo jumbo.
Clearly, I was not prepared for this. I think that should be obvious.
So thanks, Artie. Give me a few seconds, and then we're back on. Okay.
Okay.